Hello and welcome to this broadcast of Running on Love with God. My name's Lori Michelle, and I was awakened to the voice of our Creator in 2009, and he said, go get pen and paper, start writing this down, and I listened, and here I am, all these years later in Israel, broadcasting and sharing his wisdom. And I'm here in Israel, and Anna Marie, my co-host, is in Chicago. Hi, Anna Marie, how are you? Hello. And today's program is called Why is America Great? Donald Trump, the President of the United States, won the presidency using the campaign slogan, Make America Great Again. And that campaign slogan connotes that perhaps America lost its greatness, or that America was once great and now it's not, or maybe it was always great. So that's what the conversation is about. What makes America great? And is it still great? Has it lost its greatness? And how do we get it back if we lost it? What makes America great is God. God makes everything. And without him, there is nothing. And that's what this program is about. I'm sharing his wisdom, running on love with God. And God is everything, and everything else, including the United States, is extra. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Anna Marie, to ask away.
All right, there's a lot of different ways we can go with this. The first comment I want to make is the campaign slogan, Make America Great Again, I thought was an excellent slogan because it's so wide open to interpretation, because you get to define what you think makes America great. And I thought about what I think makes America great, and I want to know if you agree with these things. So I thought Make America Great Again would refer to prosperity within the country, safety throughout the country, respect worldwide, support for our allies, clear and firm immigration policies, opportunity for all, beautiful natural areas, clean air and water, less polarity and divisiveness, restoring spiritual...
Whoa. Nix on that one. Okay.
I said, really? I said less polarity and divisiveness?
What's going on right now? Just turn on YouTube and the television.
That's what would make it great, is if there was less.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that's what makes it great.
Oh, no, that's what would make it great again.
Right. I thought your list was what makes America great.
Okay.
Maybe I misheard.
Well, all right, you're right.
I am right? Okay, because I'm deaf, so I insert words and delete them all the time.
The way I had the list put together, you're right. That what I was thinking was what you were thinking, but that isn't how I wrote it. Anyway, okay. Restoring spirituality, strong work ethic, and time for play. Right. So would you have other things to add for what makes America great?
No, I don't have anything to add. In fact, I think all of those things are wonderful, but that's not what I think America is great for. Those are all things. Those are all outcomes. What makes America great is the inspiration that God gave the founding fathers to create the great country of the United States of America. We do things that make America emulate its greatness, but its greatness is an inheritance from God himself. So we can complete the sentence and say what makes America great is God himself. He gives us everything. And it's our job, Anna Marie, to bring his essence and his goodness into every single thing we do. And for many generations, that's what the American public did. They made mistakes. There were problems. There was a civil war, if you recall. But over many generations, by and large, America chose greatness and God. God was the fabric of American society until very recently.
Does that mean that other countries, God wasn't the fabric of society?
No, he just said no. There's a lot of countries that are religiously based countries, meaning they are like I don't know what the terminology is. I'm not
Theocracy.
a theocracy. Well, they think they're a theocracy, Anna Marie, but they're not truly a theocracy. They are a dictatorship or a controlling regime using their own ideology and their own religion to rule the roost. But they're truly not a theocracy. Why? They don't have God's voice running their country. It's their voice and their interpretation of their religion. So it's really not a theocracy. And people are afraid of theocracy because man uses the name of God to dominate and control everybody underneath them and give very dominating rules to live by. And it's a control factor of mankind, not God. If there was a true theocracy, and one day there will be, starting with Israel, in the country of Israel, then there would be lasting peace because his rules are for our good. They're not meant to dominate and control and oppress us. They're meant to lift us and exalt us as his creations.
Then, getting back to what makes America great again, you said God does. Does that mean that America is great? Did it fall from greatness? Are we getting back to it? What do you think?
Okay, so that's what the program, the premise is wasn't America always great? And America was created to be one of the greatest countries in all of creation. And it was inspired by God himself, and the founding fathers were guided by God himself. And I'm not calling them prophets, but you need to understand how he works. He works invisibly within all of us. He speaks to you too. He speaks to everyone, but you don't recognize him the way I do. I hear him as a separate, male, strong, calm voice. You hear him as Anna Marie, and he tests you, and he'll say something inspiring, and you'll listen to him, and that's his voice speaking through you. But you also hear, as does everyone, an opposite alternate voice, an evil voice, the Yetzer Hara, which doesn't sound so evil at all. It sounds like him, but it's a lure, and it takes you away from God and your job. Your job is to listen to him, to choose him, and bring his essence through your lips and through every action. And the founding fathers listened to their soul. They wanted freedom. We are designed to be free children of God. And they were inspired and created the Declaration of Independence, which has God strewn throughout the document. They wanted religious freedom, but they didn't want to forget where they came from, which is God himself. And that premise held strong for many generations. Through the 50s, really. So where did it unravel? And I've had this discussion recently with him. Where did it unravel? Why are we this train wreck heading off of a cliff? Because the same freedoms that we enjoy as Americans are also the noose around our necks.
Explain.
Explain. We want to be free, and we don't want to be dominated, right?
Right.
And we wanted to be all-inclusive. So we had the Constitution, which doesn't mention God at all. And we have freedom of religion. We have a right to choose our way of choosing God or not choosing God. We are protected to be atheist, agnostic, and not even believe in the existence of our Creator. And there's your slippery slope. Secularism, all-inclusive secularism. It's a danger. It's a freedom. It feels good. We want to be free, but it's also a slippery slope and a pathway to what we're seeing all over America and why there's so much fighting. We have forgotten his laws. We've forgotten where we come from. And the very mention of running on love with God makes Americans flee. Not so around the world. I posted what makes America great, and I put in God we trust. And I posted a picture on Facebook. This is the picture. I don't know if it's backwards. Is it backwards?
No, it's correct.
It's correct. What makes America great? The American flag, in God we trust. And I got only a few thumbs from America. A few people left the Running on Love page because of this post from America. But when I promoted this post in India, I got 300-400 thumbs up in less than a day. What's going on, America? Why is it not in vogue or politically correct to say that you love and believe in God and that God makes America great? So there's your freedom. This freedom that we enjoy as Americans is also the freedom that's going to be on our undoing and is our undoing right now.
How did it get like that so quickly? In the 1950s and 60s, well, I guess the early 60s, you could still talk about God, and you would ask all your friends what religion they were, and it was just something you talked about, and now it's like you can't say a thing.
But that's when it started. I had this discussion before this program. When did it start? When did we become so divisive and so anti-God? And it started really with the coming of media. According to Hashem, he said, if we look and trace it back to radio, then television, right? And then the computer, then the personal computer, then social media, it was a slippery slope for the ego to become bigger and bigger and bigger. So now I see my face. And now now you're getting away from our essence of who we are inside. And we're all about things and our iPhones and our diamonds and our wearing our bikini and showing how svelte I am on Facebook and LinkedIn, and look at my six-pack and look at me. And now, so it started very slowly, the erosion. And now I sent you a post on, I don't remember which media, NBC. Angelina Jolie spoke at the UN about sexual terrorism and sexual predators against women, speaking up for women's rights. So I sent you the little video clip, and frankly, I didn't understand a lot of what she spoke about, but she was standing tall and speaking out for women's rights and how we have to honor the woman. But what I really sent you that post for was, she's Hollywood, right? She's liberal, and just the mere sight of her speaking at the UN had a whole list of comments, and that's really where I wanted to direct your attention for tonight's program, because while I don't enjoy her politics, perhaps, I agree that we should protect women around the world. But the comments were so derisive and nasty and calling her names and you Hollywood filthy liberal that they couldn't even enjoy that she was using her fortune and fame for a good purpose. And now let's go back a few days to the State of the Union, where President Trump said some very powerful, very connecting and uplifting things, like we should stand for our flag. All the Democrats stayed seated. They barely clapped. No matter what he said, he could have said, we love our mothers. And they would have sat and they looked angry. No matter what he said, they hate him so much, they wouldn't give him any support. So where are we, America? You know, are we so divisive that everybody has a group and an ideology, and the very freedom that we fought for and people have died for to be able to be who we are freely without recrimination. And yet we're stabbing each other in the back. You Hollywood liberal, you Democrat, you this, you that. It doesn't have to be a religion, God forbid. You'll go to jail if you persecute someone for their religion, but their political position is free game, right?
What do you mean it's free game? It's free?
Meaning you're allowed. Anything goes. Look at the
okay.
Look at social media. Look what just came out today. The memo, the infamous memo that they just released, which shows that there was a conspiracy to start an investigation to derail Donald Trump, to prevent him from becoming the president of the United States. It was funded by the Democratic National Convention. It has conspiracy written all through it. And I say, why? They're not going to allow the American people their freedom to choose their president? They were so bent and determined because they hated Donald Trump that they broke the law. Well, that remains to be seen. They, what's the word? They allegedly broke the law. What are we doing? So let me tell you where we stand right now in the world. I am guided. We are on the brink of World War III. Nuclear horrors are coming. And I'm talking to you from Israel, but I'm American. I love America. You love America. We happen to have similar political beliefs. But we have to set all that aside, all the politics and the labels, and remember who we are and realize who the real enemies are and stop fighting like this. It's very dangerous what we're doing. We're going to get caught. We're going to get caught, as they say, with our pants down. It's terrible.
Then how do we move back from here? Because there are so many things that you just can't even talk about. How do we open up a conversation when we're not allowed to talk about things?
Well, we talk about things. We be unafraid. I post all the time. I'm not getting many thumbs up from America or Israel. I get a few. I don't get many shares, but I'm getting many views and likes and shares from India, believe it or not. So maybe India needs to rise up as the leader that it needs to be for world peace and shame Americans. You know, shame on you. Wake up. And I'm saying shame on all Americans because it goes both ways. Right now, the Democrats are acting like spoiled children. They were sitting there with grimaces on their face, looking around like, no matter what he said.
Right.
And the most poignant moment that I saw, and by the way, I always voted Democratic up until Barack Obama. So I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, and this isn't even my opinion. This is how I see clearly what's going on, and I speak and I'm guided by the Holy One. The divisiveness is on both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, the Democrats are at a disadvantage. They're wounded, right? If it was flipped, it would be the other side that was wounded. We trade whose feelings are hurt. But
right.
There was a very poignant moment, Anna Marie, where there were two sets of parents who lost their little girls who were murdered by, is it MS-13 is the name of the terrorist group? I believe that's it, MS-13. They're largely illegal immigrants, and they're horror. They're terrorists. And everybody stood in attention when President Trump referred to this couple. They were from New York, whose daughters were murdered. And all the Democrats stayed seated. Why? Why can't you recognize parents of these children who were murdered by illegal immigrants? Yes, we have differences about immigration, but that's clearly criminal, and that's clearly something that needs to be addressed by both sides, Democrats and Republicans. So you may not agree on his immigration policies in total, but how do you disagree that that's wrong? What happened to their children?
Right. I mean, no matter who murdered the kids, how can you just sit there?
Well, they sat there because they don't agree with President Trump's immigration policy. But to disagree that we need to have people lawfully within the United States, and especially remove the illegal immigrants who are committing crimes, how can you disagree with that? It's just defies logic. You know, how do you sit down and have a conversation about immigration if you can't agree to the obvious?
Right. And the other thing that I don't understand is people just talk about immigration and how one party is against immigration. It's like, no, it's illegal immigration. And why does anybody think that championing something illegal is fine?
Right. But also, President Trump's mother was an immigrant. His wife's an immigrant. He's not anti-immigrants.
No.
He's for protecting the United States of America. Now, having said that, the immigration policy is a Band-Aid. We have a real problem going on in the country. There are criminals throughout America right now already. They can fix the borders and build a wall, but they're not going to get rid of the problem, because the problem is within everyone. And we did a program about terrorism. You can go after this terrorist group. You can get rid of, I believe it's MS-13. We'll have to look it up. But
it sounds right to me too, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, I believe it's MS-13. There's many terrorist groups, and we can kill them all. But the next terrorist is being born as we speak, because it's the nasty, backbiting, self-righteous, take no prisoner attitude that causes people to become terrorists. Let me explain. You can feel very righteous and very empowered by that anger. I don't believe this is a good example, but I'm going to give it anyway. There was a sex abuse case that we saw, Nasser.
Yes.
And one of the fathers of one of the victims, over 250 victims, charged at him in open court, and they handcuffed him and carried him out. He wanted to kill him. Now, I had, my father, may he rest in peace, had a hot head, and I could see my dad doing the same thing. It's just horrific. And you feel for the man, and you feel like he validated, like he did the right thing, and you go get him. But it was wrong. The man's going to go away forever. You know, Larry Nasser is never going to see the light of day. He's disgusting, and I agree. But if we don't take charge of ourselves and our thoughts and our actions, we are the unwitting terrorists of tomorrow. We are the murderers of tomorrow. And we feel righteous about it. Do you understand?
I think so.
And a lot of people would say, you go get him, and applaud that. But that's not the right way. That's not the right way to handle ourselves. And that's an extreme example, okay? But what I'm saying is there are a lot of terrorist groups who feel validated. They feel abused. America did this to us. Israel did this to us. We're going to gather together and we're going to kill all the Jews. And there's a lot of people in Hollywood who are supporting the BDS movement, boycott Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they support the terrorists who are murdering innocent people in the streets of Israel. And they say, well, you know, what do you expect? Do you hear what I'm saying? Well, what do you expect? You know, apartheid Israel, what do you expect? They're going to want to hit back, and good for them. They're glorifying the people who are putting weapons in their children's hands to go kill Jewish mothers, fathers, children. You know, and there's going to be a lot of people who listen to this and say, yeah, well, yeah, kill them.
Well, they won't say that, but they will say that, well, they were wrong in the first place.
That it's justified. It's justified murder.
Right.
Thou shalt not kill.
Right.
There has to be law and order and a court system, and it has to be God's laws. We cannot take the law into our hands. And as much as I felt sympathy for the father of the sexual abuse victim, he did
he has
wrong.
three daughters.
Three daughters. Oh,
I know.
I have total compassion for him. But that didn't stop the police for tackling him and handcuffing him. They didn't say go for it, right?
Right.
It was the wrong move. So what I'm saying here is, and I'm not bad-mouthing this man, and I can only imagine, and I just said my father, who I love, would have done exactly the same thing. But it's not the right choice. We need to learn how to choose better, Anna Marie, because as I said, the Yetzer Hara, it seeps in and it twists your mind and it makes you think that the wrong choice is the right one. It feeds on anger and separateness and hostility.
And ego.
And ego. And so what made America great? God made America great. Why are we slipping away from our greatness, if we are at all? We're not choosing to be great in every moment. And the beginning of this really started with media. So, last question.
Last question is from your intro. You said that this program is non-sectarian and it is about God, not religion. My question is, what is the difference between God and religion?
God,
it's not okay to talk about either one.
You don't see a difference?
Because it's not okay to talk about either one. People see, if you say God, they just assume it's religion.
Right. Well, whether people want to hear this or not, he's real. I promise you he's real. A lot of people say, well, you're not telling me anything I don't know. Lori Michelle, we all know he's real. But I'm telling you, he's real. He doesn't have a religion. He's God. So what's the difference? We have one God. There isn't God for you, Anna Marie, and a different God for me, and I'm Jewish, and there's another one for the Muslims, and there's another one for the Buddhists, and there's another one for the Hindus, and there's another one for another group or another religion. There's one God. He created us all, and all the religions, he says, serve a purpose. It's a community. It's a connection and a way of reaching for him. But we're getting things wrong. There's a lot of people in the world who don't even believe in his existence, and there's a lot of religious people who choose their group and their ideology over him. Their religion has become an idol, so to speak. their Bible is an idol, so to speak. They bang that Bible right over your head like the Bible is God. But it's the conduit, it's the pathway to reach for God. And they misinterpret or mix it up. It's no longer a vehicle, it becomes God. So we need to be more rational and balanced in our approach and understand that we're a family. And I saw a video of President Trump being interviewed today, and he said something very powerful. He said that we're out of road. There's an expression, we're out of road. Mm-hmm. You're out of road. And he was referring to the North Koreans, that something could have been done about it years ago, but now we're out of road. So we're likely heading for, God forbid, war, and he hopes not. He doesn't want war. But is that what it's going to take for people to wake up? And unfortunately, the sad truth is there will be a war. And it's not because he wants it. It's not because he's choosing it. It's because he's allowing us to have the freedom to choose. And that's what we're choosing. So that's the program. America is great because God is great. God gave us everything. God gave us the United States of America, and America is the leader in this world that will help bring world peace one day, but not if we keep fighting each other and stabbing each other in the back. We need to come together as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless you. Go to my website, lauriemichelle.net. There are more programs. Watch them, share them. There'll be more. I promise you, I'm not stopping. With every breath I have, I want peace in our world, in our time. God bless you. God bless America. And God bless everyone in the world. Peace on earth.